Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Kimberly Kessler? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. Also consider checking out my podcast, Bella Grande Media. I'll put the link for that in the description for this video as well. I've recently uploaded a podcast on Kristen Smart and another on David Icke. Now, as far as Kimberly Kessler, I will start with the background in this case, then move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Kimberly Kessler was born on May 9, 1968. She was raised in Butler, Pennsylvania. In 2004, she left Pennsylvania, apparently without telling anybody. Her family would report her missing in 2012. I guess it's just one of those situations where somebody goes missing and people in the family are talking to one another and they're like, we shouldn't rush to judgment. I'm sure she'll come back at any moment. Let's wait another year. A year goes by and they're like, well, we should wait one more year. And before you know it, it's been 8 years. Kimberly Kessler had adopted 24 different aliases, including Jennifer Siebert. This name becomes important later on. She traveled quite a bit to other states outside of Pennsylvania, including Florida, Virginia, Ohio, Kansas, Alaska, North Carolina, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, Minnesota, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, Vermont, and Tennessee. So she was really trying to see the whole country. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On May 12, 2018, in Fernandina Beach, Florida, 38-year-old Jolene Cummings was seen at 5 p.m. leaving the Tangles hair salon where she worked. The owner of the salon was working that day along with another individual, Kimberly Kessler, who was using the alias Jennifer Siebert. The next day, May 13, was Mother's Day and Jolene's birthday. She was supposed to meet her ex-husband to pick up their 3 children, but she did not arrive. Her mother would report her missing on May 14. On May 15, the police arrived at the Tangles hair salon at about 10 a.m. to talk to the owner. The owner was on the phone with Kimberly Kessler and informed her that the police wanted to talk to her. Kessler was pulling into the parking lot, driving her 2016 Kia Soul, presumably so she could report to work. She drove away instead of exiting her vehicle and walking into the salon. She texted the owner and said she was leaving town and would send the salon key to her in the mail. At another point, Kessler contacted the police. Still using the name Jennifer Siebert, she told the police that she could not be associated with the investigation because her ex-boyfriend was a stalker. He was a computer expert. If her name was recorded on any report, he would be able to find it and track her down. On May 16, the police found Jolene's beige 2004 Ford Expedition abandoned at a Home Depot parking lot. Surveillance footage revealed that at 1:17 a.m. on May 13, someone wearing black parked the vehicle at Home Depot and walked away. Viewing other surveillance footage, the police saw the figure in black purchasing a bottle of water from a gas station using her credit card before leaving in a cab. The police realized the person they were looking at was someone they knew as Jennifer Siebert. Kessler was arrested at a rest area in St. Johns County the same day. Evidently, she was living in her car. The police noticed that she had multiple Band-Aids on her face and hands. On the left side of her face, below her eye, she had a large scratch. Kessler explained the injury, saying that she ran into a tree branch while riding her bike. She asked for an attorney. Kessler was charged with grand theft auto. Again, presumably she had stolen Jolene's Ford Expedition. Jolene's DNA was found on a pair of scissors in Kessler's car. The police found Jolene's blood at the Tangles hair salon, quite a bit of it in many different places. They also found Kessler's blood there. They found a storage unit rented by Kessler. Jolene's DNA was found on several items in the storage unit, including boots and a sock. Jolene's partial fingernail was found there as well, along with a number of wigs. Surveillance video from a nearby Walmart showed Kessler buying large trash bags, ammonia, and an electric knife. Sounds like the body disposal discount bundle. Other surveillance footage showed that Kessler had dumped 2 trash bags in a dumpster. The bags appeared to be heavy. Kessler appeared to be unsteady on her feet and tired after lifting both of the bags into the dumpster. After this, she was seen dumping a large plastic bin into the woods not far from the dumpster. The police realized that Jennifer Siebert was actually Kimberly Kessler, and that Kessler had been missing since 2004. The police examined Kessler's phone and reviewed the search history. They found a number of interesting searches. Before Jolene's disappearance, Kessler had searched about female murders in Florida and post-mortem changes. After the disappearance, she searched the phrases, "Jolene Cummings, I have vanished," and "No body, no crime." Kessler was charged with murder in addition to the existing charge of grand theft auto. In 2019, Kessler was found not competent to stand trial. I'll talk about the mental health factors in the analysis. At one point, she went on an extended hunger strike and only weighed 74 pounds. Her intake weight at the jail was 196 pounds. In 2012, she was charged with felonies for assaulting 2 corrections officers inside the jail. The officers had pepper sprayed Kessler after she started to smear feces on herself and the walls of her jail cell. In response, she started throwing feces at the officers. Evidently, Kessler had been collecting it for a special occasion. The officers tased her, bringing an end to the excrement-projecting confrontation. In June of 2021, Kessler was found competent to stand trial. So, in 2019, she was not competent, but now she was competent. At the time making this video, Jolene's body has not been found, but she is presumed dead. Investigators reported they found several notable items in a landfill in Georgia. Reportedly, Kessler is not getting along too well with her defense attorneys. She's been making accusations against them that are not supported by evidence. So there's a lot of stress as she's coming up on her trial date. Now moving to my analysis. The owner of the salon where both Jolene Cummings and Kimberly Kessler worked had a lot of interesting observations to make about Kessler, who of course she knew as Jennifer Siebert. The owner said that Jolene and Kessler got along well at first, but then tension started to rise. Kessler would contact the owner and report Jolene for minor infractions, like being a little late arriving to the shop. Kessler once told the owner that Jolene tried to give her money from the cash register, but the owner reported there were no issues with the balance. No money was missing. Jolene once complained to the owner, saying that there was something strange about Kessler that she could not put her finger on. Kessler would regularly talk about having to wear wigs and disguises because her ex-husband was dangerous. Kessler claimed to be in the witness protection program. Another employee at the salon described an incident where Kessler was trying to listen in on her talking to Jolene, and Kessler became confrontational. Inmates at the jail where Kessler was being held were interviewed. Traditionally, this population is extremely unreliable, but many of them said that Kessler walked around with a Bible all the time and tried to listen to other people's conversations. She told one inmate that she had been running from the federal government and her real name was Kimberly Kessler. When Kessler took that cab right after dropping off Jolene's vehicle at the Home Depot, she spoke to the cab driver about religion, asking if he was a born-again Christian. She asked if he was married. He responded no. She said maybe they could go to church together sometime. The cab driver agreed and gave Kessler his number. She never called him. I think he dodged a bullet there. Kessler had interacted with a number of other people in the community. People described multiple confrontations. They said that Kessler made inappropriate jokes, was rude, and espoused beliefs that people with substance use problems should be murdered. I mentioned that Kessler was initially found not competent to stand trial. Kessler was evaluated by a mental health clinician, but was not cooperative. A second mental health clinician attempted to evaluate her, but she ended the assessment after a half hour. Kessler was irate and talked about secret keys, religious scriptures, Masons, and George Washington. The clinician believed that Kessler had delusional and personality disorders. He noted that Kessler had significant psychiatric problems, does not believe that there's anything wrong with her, and clearly showed some delusions and paranoid thinking. It's unclear how the mental health clinician could make an accurate assessment under those circumstances, including a time frame of only a half hour. Delusional and personality disorders is a non-specific finding it really doesn't tell us hardly anything about what's going on with her. Was it schizophrenia, delusional disorder, schizoaffective disorder, a major mood disorder? As far as personality disorders, there are 10 of them. Which one was it? Were there multiple personality disorders? Again, there's just a lot of questions from that vague description. Interestingly, the clinician believed that Kessler would become competent if she was given medication, and her prognosis was poor without medication. I find his confidence astounding. How can he be so sure her condition will progress when he's not even sure of the psychopathology? Essentially, he is saying, I don't know what it is, but medication is the answer. To be fair, a mental health clinician hired by the state also agreed that Kessler was not competent to stand trial. This case highlights one of the massive flaws with mental health assessment. Accurate evaluation is really based on cooperation and honesty from the person being assessed. Clinicians do not have any reliable way to distinguish someone who is actually psychotic from someone who is faking it. We see the same problem with personality pathology. It's not clear what's actually going on with Kessler in terms of a mental health diagnosis, but at this point she's going to be tried for murder either way. The symptoms that Kessler appears to have, or at least wants people to believe she has, would be paranoia, bizarre behavior, magical thinking, and aggression. The notes that were stored on her phone were disorganized and tangential, with a number of references to religion. One thing I found interesting that the clinician reported about his interaction with Kessler is that she left that assessment after the clinician reminded her that she had threatened to leave before, almost like she was being manipulative. Considering that Kessler appears to be manipulative, allegedly had all those aliases, and allegedly tried to destroy evidence of a murder, how is it that she could be mentally ill? Doesn't that prove that she knows what she's doing? The reality is that some people can be severely mentally ill and manipulative at the same time. If someone tries to escape the consequences of their behavior, that doesn't automatically mean they have no mental disorders. Like anyone else, most people with mental disorders would prefer to avoid prison, regardless of whether they are guilty or not guilty of a crime. Those are my thoughts on the case of Kimberly Kessler. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching. One time I was talking to somebody who had been in prison for quite some time. They had dropped from 250 pounds all the way down to 120 pounds, so over half their body weight. Whenever they were asked if they ever tried to escape from prison, they would say, well, I mostly escaped. I thought that was a clever way for them to look at their circumstance. Most of them got out, but the important part, I guess, did not.